KFC and Feitelberg are here from KFC Radio.
Let's go!
We all know by now. KFC Radio, available everywhere you get podcasts and YouTube, every Tuesday and Thursday. And you guys are kind of holding it down for Barstool, New York now, right?
Yes, sir. We're the last of a dying breed. Last of the Mohicans.
We're
here,
not leaving.
Bro, I'm holding on to this job until it's dead in my hand.
So what happened? Like they're like, we're going to move most of the company to Chicago?
Well, one of our biggest talent, Dan, Big Cat, is from Chicago, and he got to the point where he's like, I want to go home. And
that's when you know you're a big talent.
He was like, enough of this place. I'm out of here.
It's cool if you move the whole company to Chicago. Yeah, whatever you need.
And he is, like a whole universe himself. So he brought, a lot of people rode that wave and went to Chicago with him.
That's wild. That like now there is like certain talents are like, yeah, we're kind of. I mean, it's good for Barstool that you're kind of represented everywhere now, right?
It's weirdly how it started.
Well, yeah.
Like it was originally, everyone was New York, it was Boston, it was D.C., Philly, Chicago, Iowa, of course.
Naturally.
And then we all came to New York, and I think now everyone's kind of going back to their own places. But
we probably did it the right way. I got no voice, by the way. I think the years that everyone was like young, grinding, going after it, making content there every day, still putting up with each other's shit, all of that, like we were under the same roof.
Mm-hmm.
By now, everyone's got families, kids, been around each other for 20 years. You know who you like and who you don't like, and it's probably almost better if we go to our separate quarters.
Let's just have our own area, and everyone's got a little money now, so it's like
Listen, like the main thing too is like there was a time where Dave Portnoy was going to come to an office in New York City every day.
Right.
He ain't doing that.
Oh,
anymore.
no? He doesn't.
He ain't doing that anymore.
I don't think he comes when he's in New York.
Yeah. Honestly, he is so done. And not that he's not making content, he still does that, but he does it from his mansion in Miami, Montauk, Boston,
one of those spots.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way to do it, right?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Isn't that the dream? Like when you start this company, like that's kind of if you could say, this is where we'll end up.
Dude, we disagreed on this. There was a time where these guys were in Milton, Boston, in Milton, Massachusetts, in a dentist office, right?
Yeah.
An old dentist office was the Barstool office. I'm in New York, Dan's in Chicago, and we do our show via like Skype at that point, not even Zoom. It was like Google Hangouts and Skype. And Dave goes like, there are people in boardrooms of big companies right now saying, how can we be more like Barstool? And me and Dan were looking around like, are you sure, bro? I don't think they are. But he always says, maybe it was because he was there and in Boston or with Dave or whatever, but he was always like, no, I believe it. Like, I know where this place is going.
It is interesting.
Oh, that's a little much.
I don't think anybody thought it was here. But right.
Yeah, I mean, but like with you guys and ESPN bringing McAfee on and like that's kind of vibe, that podcasty kind of just like dudes hanging out vibe really has taken over everything. Yeah. And whatever hasn't been taken over by that, I mean, I don't know who is consuming that kind of old traditional stale studio content anymore.
Agreed, but like, don't you feel like Oppenheimer a little bit?
When
you're watching ESPN and you're just like, will someone just put on a fucking suit and tie for God's sakes?
No more Air Force Ones with your fucking suit.
Yeah, that does drive me crazy.
Worst.
When people who are like good at studio stuff
do that.
Do that.
Guy.
Like there's like don't go like, oh, I got to get more casual. You're not a casual person.
No.
You're not a fun guy.
You know what's funny actually, and you can probably consider this a critique of us and both sides, is a lot of people said ESPN's trying to become Barstool and Barstool's trying to become ESPN.
Yeah.
We're hiring sports people. We've got Gruden. Some of these shows we're doing are now more polished and produced, and they're trying to be like, what's the line, bro? What, you got the over-under? What's up, bro?
Yeah.
So, you always kind of, the grass is always greener, I guess.
No, that is true. The sneakers with the suits thing.
Sam, it's a nightmare for
you
me.
hate it.
It's an absolute nightmare.
And the quarter zips, right? The quarter zips.
Well, that's kind of what Kevin was saying.
We're
like, we were getting more ESPN was getting more Barstool, and we kind of all just met in the middle with, we all just wear quarter zips now. And it's like, no one looks like someone I want to listen to talk.
Right.
And you know who I give it up to, though? I tip my cap. I just saw them the other day for the first time in a long time. Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon just still doing it.
Yeah.
In ties.
Student ties.
Sometimes a quarter zip. Sometimes Wilbon will throw on a quarter zip.
But honestly,
That's
same studio, same graphic. they actually even kind of look the same.
Yeah.
Like they haven't aged poorly.
Yeah.
And they're just still like, I can't believe he bat flipped or whatever. You know, it's amazing. I love it.
That's why I think Inside the NBA works so well because
yeah.
all the guys on that show are actually being themselves. They're not trying to figure out like, wait, where is culture going? Where should I be doing? Should
We
I
are
be
the
doing a
culture.
little-
Like, they
right.
determine it.
Yes.
Almost to a fault. Like those guys were so critical of the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah.
Rightfully so, but at some point it's like, you guys need to like prop the brand
You
up
want
a
people
little
to
bit.
watch
NBA
next
show.
year.
No, you're not gonna. You know, they are probably making so much bank and have such a stranglehold, but not if people stop watching basketball. So
Yeah.
Well, they kind of also got the thing. I don't know if their contract's been sorted out, but it's going to a new company next year. They might be like,
yeah, but I think there was some sort of at least they said like we're not going anywhere. I don't know if it's official or not.
I think so. Yeah, Shaq
yeah.
just signed.
And I think Chuck said, I'm either doing this job or I'm not going anywhere else. I'm either retiring or doing this.
Yeah.
He goes, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to work more.
It's a beautiful place to be.
Oh, man.
And I mean the idea that like these guys who like busted their ass for so long being professional athletes realize that there's 8-figure paychecks in.
Oh my god!
You know,
someone
and-
like Charles Barkley, he's probably making 10x what he was making in the '90s playing basketball.
Yeah,
you know,
just to
Shaq
just
probably
talk
got
about
a big
it.
bag, but no, Chuck is like
I
Yeah,
remember
Shaq
that
was
when-
one of the first that got like after Jordan that got like merchandise.
right, yeah, like big, use that, movies and all that
Yes.
shit. So.
when we obviously we mentioned earlier, like we've been hiring other athletic talent and stuff like that. And I remember like when Will and Taylor came on, I was like, you guys are idiots, like busting with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, go just be rich former NFL players. And I look like dumb today.
Yeah,
But it's like, what is the point of? I think Taylor signed a $70 million contract in his life. I was like, why do you want to start a podcast now? What's the point?
What do you think? You're going to end up hanging out with the president of the United States of America? Like,
where could this possibly go? It's crazy, man. The like, if you're good at it, first of all, you have to be good at it because I think there's plenty of people who try to do it, and it's like you're just not cut out for this. But if you're good at it, the leg up that it gives you, where it's just like people love it. You know what I mean? Like former athlete. Former, if you have any ability to talk, it's like, I mean, those guys are really good at it, but there are plenty of people where it's like, as long as you can form a sentence, here you go. Here's a deal from Chevy. You know?
Yeah. I think I spent my whole 20s trying to figure out, like, why is nobody paying attention to me? It's because, I only talk. I have no foundation.
Why would anyone? Dude, I thank the good Lord every day. There is anybody who wants to listen, follow, read, whatever. I'm like, I don't get it, man,
Right.
but okay.
Right, because when you're younger, you're like, why does everybody pay attention to this person? Oh, because they're a professional athlete
They're
that has
awesome.
incredible credibility and also happens to be good at talking. Like,
Yep. For real, man.
Biz
really
is like that. Biz, Paul Bissonnette, TNT, we're Spittin' Chicklets. He's one where I'm like, I watch him, I'm like, that's what I think a broadcaster should be, a podcaster should be. Like, he's so good
I
at
think
it.
he's going to be like the NBA. Inside the NBA guys are so big.
yes.
But the NBA is so well established that all kind of makes sense. I think what Biz is going to end up doing for hockey is probably more important than what they're doing right now for the NBA.
I think Biz, we
Wow.
could look back on a bit. This is obviously extremely over the top, but like, there's a chance Biz is more important to hockey than McDavid.
Right. No, for real though. Because like McDavid is so good. Austin Matthews. I know these names. I'm not gonna watch. I don't know. But if there's something funny and entertaining, and then you kind of draw me in, and
that is wild.
Getting the people is
Yes.
more important than just being good. You know?
When you can stumble on something, like there can be a show that's so good that me as not a hockey fan, or me as not a guy who's watching basketball, it's like, yeah, but I want to see what's going on inside the NBA. I
Exactly.
want to see what's going. Like, I'll watch this hockey podcast, even though.
And even if I don't ever sit down and watch, full 3 periods of hockey, it's like I know who you are. I'll watch an appearance because I met you through Biz or what,
Yes.
And it just raises the level of the whole league. You know?
Yeah. So it's a wild thing that's how powerful these shows have gotten.
For real. And the fact that Biz, who's like amazing at this, but he's our idiot. Like, and he might be, the guy who grows the NHL more than anybody. It's wild.
Is it exhausting for you, Kevin?
Yes, whatever the answer.
I'm
Whatever the
exhausted. Because like you not only follow sports, but also are like so unnecessarily deep into stupid pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was sitting there going, right, like I'm like, listen, I love this show, The Traitors. But this is a show that there are like a handful of shows that I'm like, this isn't even for radio. This one's for me. You know, I'll watch Gabby Petito, and I'll talk about the Gabby Petito dog. But Traitors, nah, they're not gonna care. And then for you, you're like, yeah, I'm watching the Traitors.
Well, you know, I really, this is like a recent thing. We've always talked about television, and we were always like, we never did it like formally for our content. It was always like, because then you have to worry about spoilers, or you have to worry about your audience being too niche or whatever. And I came to realize that like, I do talk about sports, but the only other thing that I really can like do all the time is watch television.
You love TV stuff.
Yeah, I'm just always, you know, just watching TV. I play video games a little bit, but I'm not good enough to like do the gaming thing, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, let me go after it and just talk about, you know, TV content. So that's all within like the last couple weeks. So
couple weeks. This is brand new.
yeah, brand new. I mean, it's really like not even off the ground. You know, the YouTube channel, like it's such a. I find it so hard to crack the YouTube nut, and I feel like the one thing you need to do is like focus on one lane. So that's, you know, I'm going after it. Even within that, people are like, well, if you talk about the Traitors and then you talk about White Lotus, like that's too much of a different. I'm like, Jesus, you have to literally do one thing, and that's it on YouTube. So I don't know if I can do that because I'm a little more jack of all trades, master of none. But yeah, I'll, you know. Dude, Traitors is considered highbrow with some of the shit I'm going to be talking about.
Yeah, I feel like you could probably do Traitors and like House. You watch any of the Housewives stuff? I don't watch any of the house.
There's Summer House is
You're
like,
a Summer House guy?
Yeah.
That was one like that was for me.
Bro, I
watch this. I watch it for me.
I made a Summer House video the other day that I have not put out because I was like, once you do this, there's no going back. Like, you will be judged. You will be judged. But there's a bunch of girls on my like Instagram being like, put it out.
I don't know. You're hovering over the button like is it time? Yeah, because I watched that Traitors show because number one, it's a fantastic show. It's awesome. But number two, I don't know who any of these reality stars are. Like I know the guys that have been doing the challenge for like 35 years at this point. Yep. Like the 50-year-olds that are still doing the challenge. Yeah, I know who Wes is. Yep. I know who that guy Boston Rob is.
Oh, legend.
Yeah, I know those. I know who the 50-year-old reality stars are.
Yeah. But watching 50-year-old reality stars like continue their growth through social media is interesting.
It is.
Like, all right, maybe time to hang it up, Johnny.
I give them props though. Like they you know, probably at the time. I remember meeting Johnny Bananas and a couple other people in Cancun when that was like their bread and butter. They did like Student City packages where it was like you get a wristband and you get to meet the guys from the MTV, you know? Yeah. And at that point, it was probably like they had been on for a couple seasons and they turned it in from that into like, you know, you got like a late night show on NBC at one point. And like you can just hold on for, that's what I said about Barstool. I'm holding on.
I remember a friend getting, I forget who it was, but it was, you know, someone of that ilk, to their bar at Quinnipiac when I was in college, and they were like, you should come, so-and-so's coming to the bar. And I was like, that is the saddest invite I've ever received, and I will not be attending. And you're right, but I went from like doing bars in New Haven to like late night television.
Because also, you know, if you really like that show, those people are like your heroes.
They're
crazy.
guys.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there are people who would just die to talk to these people. So.
Yeah. Like I had no idea who any of these Summer House housewives.
Yeah.
None of them were. None of the Bravo verse. I didn't know who any of them were until I started watching that Traitors show.
Right.
And then I had to like start asking around, like, is this Tom Sandoval guy? Like, is he an idiot? Like, what's his deal?
Yo, Tom Sandoval, he might legitimately be the stupidest person ever on television.
Right. Then I was like, is this like a known thing? Because I'm just finding this out.
I'm praying that he wins. Like he's so fucking stupid that
so
I'm like, what if he
stupid.
just weasels his way into like the whole this show, John, is so funny.
Never seen the Traitors?
Never. I avoid
outrageous.
reality TV like heroin.
Yeah,
where I'm like, everyone says it's so good. I'm like, I'm gonna not try it.
You got Peacock?
I got Peacock. Yeah.
Traitors. You gotta watch Traitors. You gotta watch Traitors.
Dude, they're like, by this point in the game, people are picking up on everything, and so it's like it's either this person or this person, and they're arguing about it. And then Tom Sandoval will come in and be like, I think it's Feitelberg. And it's like, no one is even talking. Like, not a chance in hell, dude. He's so bad.
There was one scene where they have like a round table, right? Where they're all trying to figure out who the traitors are. And like, you kind of know, like you said.
It's one or the other.
And like, he puts out one of these theories that nobody's talked about or addressed. There's nothing to it. And the two of them start bickering. And one of the people at the table had to go, guys, can we do a serious one? Can we just stop?
Bro, they had, there was this one scene. It was like, if you if you were everybody who was not a traitor is in the room with this guy, so you know what he was wearing. And this one guy's like, oh
my
he's like, wait a minute. If you're a traitor, you wouldn't know what he's wearing. So all we have to do is ask everyone to describe the outfit.
Perfect.
And they got this girl. She's like, and it might be editing magic, who knows? But she's like,
Didn't look like it. It looked real. It looked real to me.
He's like, what was Alan wearing? And she was like, and she's like really flustered. And Tom Sandoval goes, it was the black hat with the kilt. And he was like, no. He's like, we just told you the plan, Tom.
I was like, what do you yeah.
So good.
Forget it. Yeah, I just watched one where they had to they were in like a house full of dolls, and all of the dolls had like a song, but it was a nursery rhyme backwards, and they had to call back to the house to help figure out what this nursery rhyme was.
Hum it
Right.
backwards, and then they had a device that would play it forwards.
But Tom goes like this. He goes, I'm the only one in here who's like musically gifted. Like he's like, I got perfect pitch. And so they literally have this guy on camera, and he's sitting on the porch of this house, and he's listening to a doll, and he's got one hand on his ear.
Beyonce ear.
Yeah, and he's going, and like the doll goes like, and then Tom Sandoval with his hand on his ear is going, and when he's convinced that he has it, when he's like, I got it, he runs to don't talk to me. He runs to the phone before he loses it and goes, listen. And everyone on the other end of the phone is going like, what?
In his defense, though, they got it.
They did get it.
He got it. He was right.
He's got perfect pitch.
They get it. Yeah, he does have perfect pitch. Yeah, it is. I mean, I can't believe that I'm watching the show and enjoying it and feeling the desire to continue to watch it. But like, I've watched every episode.
This is the first season U.S., right?
No, this is the third season.
Oh shit!
But
I just started.
I would say it's the first one that really popped. Like, it's popular, but Boston Rob was a big deal. And there's some good drama. So there's always like one season where all of a sudden it just hits that like tipping point.
Yeah.
But those shows to me, like watching like Summer House is like, yeah, that's embarrassing. Don't tell anybody. You know what I mean?
That's tough.
But those shows I think are like competitive. Like, I think that there's like a mental, I mean, yeah, it's still trash television, don't get me wrong, but I think it's way different than being like, I watch The Bachelor, than like it's like a competition in my mind. You're a Bachelor girl? I don't know either. I've had my time sitting there talking about roses before, so I'm not above it.
Right. There is, I mean, you could say there's a degree of competition to The Bachelor, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. I don't watch The Bachelor. There is.
Yeah. You're competing for love. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like one of her first days as an intern, I just happened to say, I was like, yeah, The Bachelor's completely fake. She was like, what? What do you know? I don't think so.
We just went out to the Love is Blind set. We did our podcast from within the pods. That's a show where you can't see each
I
other.
love Love is Blind.
Yeah. That one.
By the way, only the first like few episodes. I can never keep going with Love is Blind.
Once like, oh, are you happy? You're married? Get the fuck out of here.
But you did the pod from the actual.
In the pods, yeah.
That's amazing.
He was on one side of the wall. I was on the other.
So funny.
It was really cozy. I'll give it that. It was really cozy.
Did you enjoy it?
Being on
in the
set?
pods and on the set?
I mean, it was cool.
Kevin got comfy fast.
Yeah, I took off my
Kevin had
feet.
on,
I was on the blankets. It was like they do on the show. They like, you start out sitting there, and then by the end of it, you're like sprawled out on the couch. Yeah,
and because you've watched it, you're like, this already feels like home.
We had like the cameras where they have like these sparkly lights in front of our face. It was very dramatic. But,
yeah, I like watching that show. I love, and I've never actually followed a season all the way through. Mm-hmm. But I will when the mood strikes me. I love watching that show, The Circle.
Dude,
what's that one?
It's so good because to me it feels like it's such a great showcase of like we're done. Like society is over. Like we're finished. Like we don't know.
Dystopian.
The Circle's the one that finally got you.
The Circle is it. The Circle is like
draw a line somewhere.
It's the dystopian because it's like this competition reality show except nobody actually sees each other. Everybody gets their own apartment. And then they have a screen in front of them and a chat. And so every game is played by the chat telling them what game they have to play. And then the hidden cameras in these apartments that they're in completely by themselves, they're all still playing the games. And then they communicate with each other by like chatting, which you can also direct message. And some of them are catfishing.
Right, some people
because nobody
like a 40-year-old woman when they're like a 25-year-old man.
They never interact. They just go and then. But to me, the fact that because like my wife has walked into the room and gone like, "What the fuck are you watching?" Because it's this television show where I'm watching this good-looking human being look at a monitor and go, boy, I've never seen anything like that before. LOL, smiley face, winky face, smiley face. And she's like, this is a show? What are you watching?
I think I was on this show from ages 12 to 16.
Yeah.